Chapter 4. Behind the Curtain. There was one thing I always found difficult to reconcile with this job: the way money seemed to disappear from the pockets of young men who could barely afford to be there. When a group of students or backpackers wandered in, I could tell right away. Their clothes were simpler, their eyes wide with excitement but also hesitation. I often felt sorry for them. I couldn't bring myself to drain every cent they had, even though some of my colleagues had no such qualms. For many of the girls, money was the only thing that mattered. If a boy left the bar with nothing but a memory and an empty wallet, that wasn't their problem. Sometimes I wondered if those boys realized they were spending the cost of their entire week-long holiday in just one night with us. Still, it wasn't always about money. More often than not, we truly enjoyed the company of our guests. Some evenings turned into long conversations, laughter that felt genuine, and even plans that extended beyond the walls of the club. We often went out after work, late-night dinners, drinks in other bars, or dancing until sunrise. And sometimes, something more personal blossomed. I myself had 2 relationships that grew out of the nightclub. Both were with foreign men. We would fly back and forth every few weeks, each visit a stolen escape from reality. A few days of passion, of pretending life was different. But the truth always crept back in. Distance was hard enough, but even harder was the shadow hanging over me. Which man could truly accept that his lover spent her nights drinking, laughing, and dancing with strangers? Inevitably, the romances faded, leaving only bittersweet memories. Meanwhile, I was becoming more skilled at the work. My movements, my words, even the way I could read a man's face, it all became second nature. And that skill didn't go unnoticed. Soon, I was moved from the afternoon shift into the night shift. I wasn't happy about it, but I had no choice. The nights were different. Harder. By then, most of the men came in already drunk, their eyes glazed, their tempers more unpredictable. We girls drank more too, sometimes to loosen up, sometimes just to make the hours pass faster. The energy was wilder, louder, and far less forgiving. Chapter 5. The girls. The girls came and went, like shadows drifting through the smoky air of the club. Some stayed only a few nights, just long enough to earn a little cash before disappearing again. Others lingered for weeks, their faces becoming familiar, their laughter part of the rhythm of my nights. Each one carried a story, and though I didn't realize it at the time, many of those stories were heavier than they let on. There was the girl who had escaped an abusive relationship, still flinching whenever a man raised his voice. Another had crossed over from a different kind of club, one where dancing wasn't enough, where extra services were expected. She seemed relieved to be with us, because in our bar the rules were strict: no extras, no touching. The customers could watch, they could drink with us, they could talk, but there was a clear line they were not allowed to cross. Some of the girls were students, trying to pay their tuition or survive far from home. Others were simpler, less educated, drifting through life with wide eyes and fragile dreams. There were the ones who drank easily, laughing louder as the night wore on. And then there were those who reached for other substances, needing a stronger escape to get through the hours. What struck me most was how different we all seemed on the surface, yet underneath, there was a common thread. In one way or another, each girl was broken. Some hid it well behind makeup and quick jokes. Others let the cracks show more openly. At the time, I didn't pay much attention to that. I was too focused on my own survival, on learning the ropes, on simply keeping up. But looking back now, I realize, every single one of us carried wounds, even if we didn't speak of them. Chapter 6. The Boss. Our boss was a tall, broad-shouldered man, with a face that could almost be called handsome. Some of the girls were openly smitten with him, a few even had flings. But that wasn't really the point. He wasn't just a boss, he was a presence, someone we all felt the moment he walked into the room. The truth was, we earned very good money. But it came at a cost, the expectations were just as high. Before every shift, he would inspect us one by one. Our dresses had to be perfect, our makeup flawless, our nails polished, our perfume noticeable but not overpowering. Sometimes he even made us step on a scale. If he decided someone was too heavy, she was given a deadline to slim down. Until then, she wasn't allowed to work. It was brutal, but no one dared argue. He held meetings like a commander addressing his troops. We stood on the stage while he lectured us, his voice booming, his words sharp. There was something almost theatrical in the way he did it, like a dictator performing for his audience. We were all a little afraid of him. And yet, we couldn't deny his authority. He kept order, and in a strange way, we respected him for it. His punishments ranged from ridiculous to harsh. If someone came late, she had to bring him as many bars of chocolate as the minutes she'd missed. Once, after I made a mistake, he ordered me to write a single 4-line sentence 200 times. Another girl had to memorize a poem backwards. And on some nights, when he had been drinking, he amused himself by throwing glass cups against the wall, just to watch them shatter. The next day, a new set of glasses would appear, as if nothing had happened. And yet, despite the fear, despite the pressure, we liked him. More than that, we respected him. He made us laugh, he kept us sharp, and in his strange, demanding way, he built a team that felt almost like a family. Looking back, I realize how unusual it was. We were afraid of him, yes, but we also trusted him. And above all, we belonged to something together. The waiters. The waiters were our silent allies, or sometimes, our secret rivals. They moved quickly between the tables, carrying trays heavy with bottles and glasses, but in truth, they carried something much more important, responsibility. When the bill came, it was their job to make sure it was paid. And in a place like ours, where the customers often drank more than they should, that wasn't always easy. It was wise to stay on good terms with them. Most of the boys were kind, funny, and protective, almost like younger brothers. They'd look out for us, warn us about difficult guests, or quietly slip us advice. But there were others who saw our earnings as an opportunity. Some expected us to invite them to dinner, and then conveniently left us with the check. A few even went further, ordering food and drinks from our money as if it were their right. Still, the friendships were real. We laughed together, shared cigarettes in the back, whispered secrets when the boss wasn't around. And sometimes, though it was strictly forbidden, those friendships turned into something more. Relationships between waiters and dancers were absolutely off limits. Everyone knew the rule: if you were caught, both of you would be fired without a second chance. That didn't stop it from happening. A few couples managed to hide their romances for months, living in the thrill of secrecy. But secrets have a way of coming out, and when they did, the punishment was swift. The girl and the boy would disappear from one day to the next, leaving only whispers behind.
Make sure you subscribe, so you won't miss the next part.